Alright everyone, welcome back to another honest review in 5 minutes kind of. Today we're covering the Hope 01 demo. It's a pixel art extraction survival RPG developed by Bending Boy Games. Drops you into a rundown sci-fi habitat cluster where everything feels unstable and dangerous. The demo doesn't ease you in at all here. You're thrown straight into these tight industrial corridors surrounded by flickering lights and half-working machinery. The game basically tells you to grab what you can, fight your way through whatever shows up and hope you make it back out. It's a small slice of the full game, but already shows the tension, the atmosphere and the risk-reward loop that the developers are aiming for here, and I'm actually quite excited for the full release. We're going to break it down into story and premise, gameplay, visuals and style, and critiques. I'm going to list my pros and cons at the end, what I liked, what I disliked, and I'll finish with my outro and my overall score. So let's get into it. Story and premise. The setup of Hope 01 is simple and straight to the point. You're running missions inside a cluster of old industrial habitats that have clearly been through years of damage and neglect. Your job is to head inside, gather resources and push deeper run after run. There's talk of this legendary location throughout the game called Hab 01, something nobody seems to be able to reach, and the demo uses that mystery as a distant goal without slowing things down throughout the playthrough. The game doesn't rely on long dialogue or cutscenes here, it lets the environment do most of the storytelling. Broken platforms, the warning signs, and the abandoned machinery all help build the world without getting in your way. It's not trying to tell a full story yet, it's more about setting the tone and giving you a world that feels worth exploring. I'll add a bit of a disclaimer here that the story and premise is completely up to what I interpreted. There's very little online as this is a brand new demo. There's no information or story explanation or more info other than the Steam pages. Take everything I said with the story and premise with a pinch of salt, and it might change. I simply don't know, and it's what I interpreted from playing the game. The gameplay. The gameplay in Hope 01 revolves around short, high-risk extraction runs, and the demo makes it clear how quickly things can go wrong. You drop into a zone, explore the corridors, fight enemies and grab whatever loot you can carry, and then try to extract before you get overwhelmed. The mechanics are simple, but the tension comes from how punishing the world is. Enemies hit hard, resources are limited, and you can't just rush through rooms expecting to tank damage. You have to think about spacing, timing and when to back off. Looting is the core of this experience. Every run becomes a little debate with yourself. Do you leave now with what you found, or do you push deeper and risk losing everything? That risk-reward balance is what makes extraction games fun, and the demo captures it really well. One greedy decision can turn a run into complete disaster. There's also a small taste of progression outside the runs. You bring loot back, manage your resources and prepare for the next dive. The demo doesn't fully explore this system, but you can see where it's heading with more gear, more upgrades, more routes, and eventually multiple endings depending on how far you push. What stands out is how each run feels like its own little story. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you barely escape, and sometimes you go one room too far and instantly regret it. That unpredictability is the heart of the game and the heart of the genre as a whole. Visuals and style. Visually, Hope 01 uses a gritty sci-fi pixel art style that fits the saying really well. The habitats feel cramped and industrial, metal walkways, flickering lights, machinery that looks like it's been repaired with whatever scraps were lying around. The layered backgrounds give the world a surprising amount of depth, and the lighting helps sell the atmosphere. Rooms feel dim and unstable, like the power grid is barely holding together, but everything is still clear enough to read at a glance. Signage and layout make the world feel like a real facility rather than a random maze. Character sprites are simple but readable, and the animations are clean enough that you always understand what's happening in combat. The game isn't trying to be flashy, and it's aiming for clarity and immersion, and the art direction supports that consistently throughout the entire demo. The good and the bad. There's a few things worth talking about on both good and bad side of the demo. The first issue you'll notice is the UI, which can be surprisingly confusing when there isn't much happening on screen. Some menus feel unclear, certain icons don't immediately make sense, and it takes a bit of trial and error to understand how everything fits together. It's not game breaking, but it definitely slows you down at the start. The good news is that once you do figure it out, the core loop underneath is really solid, and the inventory and extraction systems start to feel more natural the more you play. Another positive that stood out to me is the game's moment-to-moment tension is really strong. Even with the rough edges, the atmosphere and pacing keeps you alert, and the world feels dangerous in a way that fits the extraction style perfectly. Another big issue is the tutorial, which I really didn't enjoy very much. Instead of teaching you naturally as you play, it interrupts you with pop-ups to feel more annoying than helpful. The worst part is the repeated reminder about how to close your bag every time the demo wants you to progress and you happen to be in your inventory. Popped up again, and after a while it just becomes frustrating. The upside is that once you're past the tutorial, the game opens up completely and there's no more annoying pop-ups, and it becomes much more enjoyable. Lets you focus on the runs, the looting and the tension the game is clearly built around. Outro and my final score. Overall, Hope 01's demo leaves a really strong impression, and even with the rough edges, it's clear the foundation is solid. The atmosphere is tense, the extraction loop is satisfying, and the world has this gritty industrial charm that makes every run feel dangerous in a good way. The UI can definitely be confusing at first, and the tutorial does more interrupting than teaching, but once you get past those early hurdles, the game opens up and becomes genuinely engaging. The moment-to-moment tension, the sense of progression, and the way each run tells its own little story all come together in a way that feels polished for a demo. The environments look great, the pacing keeps you alert, and the core gameplay loop has that addictive quality where you keep telling yourself just one more run, even after you've died multiple times. With all that in mind, I'd give the demo a solid 8 out of 10. The interface, UI and tutorial definitely hold it back a bit, but the strengths far outweigh the issues. And if the full game builds on what's already here, it has potential to be genuinely something really memorable. That concludes my review for the Hope 01 demo. Thank you very much for watching. These reviews have been doing really well on my channel, and I actually really do enjoy making them. I took a break from making them as I wasn't doing YouTube as much as I had been before, but I want to go back to them and fully start covering games that I really enjoy, and this was one that just kind of came across my computer and it was genuinely memorable. So thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.